2024 P6 practice paper 3 for Tao Nan School. This is the paper 2 of this practice paper. So for paper 2, you can use your calculator. Let's look at question 1. Use all the digits 2, 3, 5, 8 to form the smallest multiple of 5. Okay, in order to get the multiple of 5, your last digit has to be either 5 or 0. So since we have a 5 here, we know that the last digit will be a 5. Then we're left with 2, 3, and 8 to put into the first 3 digits. We want the smallest. So the first, we will start from the smallest number in front, 2 in the thousands place, followed by 3 and 8. So part A is 2385. Okay, for B, you want the greatest number between 3,000 and 4,000. So between 3,000 and 4,000 means that we definitely need to have a number that starts with a 3. Okay, since we want the greatest, so the bigger number will come first. So starting with 8, then 5 and 2. So 3, 8, 5, 2. For question 2, table shows the times taken by 4 boys to complete a race. Who was the first in the race? The first in the race would take the shortest time. Okay, so we should be looking at the one who takes the shortest time, which is 13.8 seconds. Our answer is Ming. Then for B, what's the average time taken by the 4 boys? So to find average, first you have to add them up to find the total time taken. So 14.1, 15.0, 13.8, and 13.9. Add all of them up, you will get 56.8. Then to find average, since there are 4 people, you have to divide it by 4. Okay, then when you calculate this, you should get 14.2 seconds. Next, question 3. Matthew has a rope which is 64 cm long. He cuts it into 3 pieces. Lengths of 3 pieces are shown. Find the value of U. Okay, what we know about the 3 ropes will be the total length. So when I add them up, U plus 8 plus U plus 2U, this will give us 64. Okay, then I will combine all those with U. Okay, now take note, the sign will follow the number behind. So U, and 2U, that's 4U. 4U plus 8 equals to 64. To find 4U, I will take 64 minus 8. 56. So to find the value of U, you take 56 divided by 4. Okay, and that gives us 14. That's the value of U. Question 4. Shanti took a taxi from home to her office. Taxi fare is shown here. The charges are shown here. So the taxi stopped once at a traffic light for 1 minute, traveled a total distance of 5.8 km to reach her office. So how much was her taxi fare? Okay, so there's 2 parts to this. One is in terms of the distance that she travels, and the other one is in terms of the waiting time. So for the distance that she traveled, right, she traveled 5.8 km. So let's find out how much she will have to pay for 5.8 km. So for the first km is $3.20. So 5.8 km made up of 2 parts. The first km, and then there is the 4.8 km. Okay, this first km here is $3.20. Now for the 4.8 km, we have to calculate. So every 400 meters, 4.8 km is 4,800 meters. Find the number of groups. So how many 400 meters are there? There's 12. So 12 times of 22 cents. So 12 times 22 cents. And this will give us $2.64. Then for the waiting time, okay, so in terms of distance, she's going to pay this and this. Okay, that's for the distance. Then in terms of time, waiting time, she waited for 1 minute at traffic light. So 22 cents here is for every 45 seconds. So how many times of this 22 cents do we need for 1 minute? 1 minute is 45 seconds plus 15 seconds, right? And the 15 seconds should be counted as another set of 22 cents. Okay, so with that, we have 2 times of 22 cents, which is 44 cents. So I'm going to add this 44 cents as well. So all those that are highlighted will give us the total cost that she has to pay. 320, 264, and 44 cents. Total, this will be $6.28. Question 5. A square is first divided into 2 equal halves, so top half and bottom half. Top half is divided into 5 equal parts, bottom half divided into 4 equal parts. Total shaded area is 165 square cm. What's the area of the whole square? Okay, if you look at it like a model, right, it it uh it means that the top half is actually the same area as the bottom half. And if the top part is divided into, say, like 5, is as if it's divided into 5 units, and the bottom is like 4 units, right? And what we have to do normally is to make the units the same so that it's comparable. Okay, so the top 5 boxes and the bottom 4 boxes, we find a common multiple, which is 20. Common multiple of 4 and 5 is 20. So for the top one, to make it 20 units, we'll have 4 units each. Okay, 4U, 4U, 4 units each. Then the bottom one, to make it 20 units, we'll have 5 units each. Okay, 5 units. So on top 20, below 20. Shaded part, how many units? So the shaded parts, the shaded parts will be 4 units times 3 on top, plus your 5 units times 2. That's 12 units plus 10 units. 22 units in total. Okay, so 22 units will be 165. 1 unit would be 165 divided by 22. You get 7.5. You are looking for the area of the square. The whole square would be 20 units times 2, 40 units. So 40 units would be 40 times 7.5. Okay, and then you get 300. That's how we get the area of the whole square. Question 6. Okay, this figure is formed by 5 straight lines AC, AD, BD, BE, and CE. Find angle X. Now, if you take a look at angle X, it's actually one of the angles within a triangle. And the triangle we're looking at is over here. So we can find X quite easily in one step. So sum of angles in a triangle is 180. So we take 180 minus 41 and 51, which is 88. So angle X is 88. Okay, that's for part A. Now for part B, we need to find angle Y. Okay, to find the angle Y, can you see that there is an X here? Vertically opposite angles. So if I can find this, that will be the same as angle Y. Okay, to find that, first, I'm going to find this angle, so that I can use angle in a triangle after that. So to find this angle here, I'll take 180 minus 88. Which is 92. So this is 92 degrees. Then I'll use angles in a triangle, so 180 minus 92 and 31. That should give us 57 degrees. So angle Y is the same as that angle, vertically opposite angle, vertically opposite angles. So it's also 57. Okay, so answer here, 57 degrees. Okay, next. Question 7. Lucy had an equal number of gold and silver stars. She gave 26 gold stars and 14 silver stars to Maggie. She gave the remaining stars to Nick. Nick was given 1 gold for every 3 silver stars. So how many stars did Lucy have at first? Okay, since the question said that she started with equal number, right? Let's draw a model. So for gold and silver, okay, we have equal here. Then 26 gold and 14 silvers we need to remove. So let's say this is 26 gold. This is given to Maggie. Then 14 silver. And she gave the remaining to Nick. Now what Nick got is 1 gold for every 3 silver. What this means is that the number of gold is actually 1 unit and the silver will be 3 units. Because if you receive 3 silver for every 1 gold means that the silver will be 3 times of the gold. Okay, so the silver will be 3 units and the gold will be 1 unit. So from here, I can find 2 units. Okay, so 3u minus 1u is 2 units. So this is the part here that I'm trying to find. So 2 units will be 26 minus 14, which is 12. in 1 unit, 12 divided by 2, 6. Okay, then this part here is 6. How many stars did she have at first? Now the gold and silver is the same at first. So from here, I can actually find gold quite easily. I take 6 plus 26. 32. So since gold and silver is the same, I can just multiply that by 2. Okay, so answer 64 stars at first. Question 8. On Friday, the ratio of number of adults to boys to girls visiting a zoo was 7 to 6 to 5. On Saturday, the number of adults visiting the zoo remained the same. However, number of boys increased by 50%, number of girls decreased by 40%. So what's the ratio of adults to boys to girls visiting the zoo on Saturday? So let's start off with Friday. We have the ratio A to B to G, 7, 6, and 5. Now, I have 50% increased by 50%. Now, 50% is half. 40% is 2/5. So for the boys, right? So instead of using percentage, I use fractions, which will be less confusing. Students tend to kind of like combine the percentages unnecessarily. So I just change it to fraction to avoid that. Here the boys increase by 50%, which means that the boys plus half. So this is a proportional, this is a proportion transfer. Okay, so which means that I will show what is the BCA or before change after below this. Okay, so for proportion transfer, if you add half means that you start with 2, you add 1 unit, and you would end up with 3 units. Okay, so I'm not looking at the ratio at first, but I'm just looking at the fraction itself, and then I write the ratio below. Now for the girls, decreased by 2/5. So I minus 2/5. Again, this is a proportion transfer. Proportion transfer, I'll do the same thing below. So minus 2/5 means that I start with 5 units. I take away 2 units. So 5, take away 2, left with 3. Then I'll end up with a ratio on Saturday, which I'm supposed to find. Okay, so with the information given here, I know they said that the number of adults remain the same, right? But I'm not going to write here 7 yet because I need to find my common base across all the ratios. Okay, so for example, this is at first adults, boys, and girls. This is the ratio for boys, and the common base would be the boys at first. This 2 here. It's supposed to represent the same thing as this 6, right? So I'm going to change this 6 and 2 to make it the same. So I have to change the 2 into 6. So I times 3 throughout. Then the other common base for this ratio would be the girls at first. Girls at first here, 5 units. Girls at first here, also 5 units. So they are already the same. No need to change. So I'll just underline my common base, boys at first and the girls at first. So after I make my common base all the same, right? Then I can show what the ratio is for Saturday. So the adults didn't change. I'll keep it as 7. Then the boys in the end, I'll take it from here. This is in the end, boys after. So 9 units. And the girls after would be this last number here, 3 units. So what's the ratio of A to B to G on Saturday? This is my answer for part A. Okay, 7 to 9 to 3. Then for part B, on Friday, 627 boys and girls visited the zoo. What's the total number for Saturday? Okay, so 627 will be 11 units. Okay, 11 because 6 plus 5 units. Then 1 unit would be 6 to 7 divided by 11. 57. 1 unit is 57. To find the total on Saturday, I will add them up. 7, 9, and 3 units. That's 19 units. So 19 units is 19 times 57. 1083. Okay, so that's the total for Saturday. Question 9, ABCD is a rhombus. So with a rhombus, you need to know two things. One is that all the sides are equal, and then the other is that there are two pairs of parallel lines. Okay, then you have DFB straight lines, DECG also straight lines. Okay, so find angle ABD, which is this angle marked out here. So as I've said, rhombus means you have four equal lines. So I'm marking them out so that it's actually easier to see. And if you mark them out, you can actually notice that there's an isosceles triangle. And that will be useful to help us find angle ABD. So I'll mark out all the parallel lines as well. Okay, so for part A, to find angle ABD, I will take 180 minus 106 and then I divide by 2. So if I were to write in one line, it's 180 minus 106. And if I want to divide by 2, it's the whole thing. So use brackets. This will give us 37 degrees. Since this is isosceles, then this must be 37 degrees as well. Also, I have parallel lines. So do you see a Z here? Okay, a Z, Z, which means that I have 37 here as well. And isosceles triangle again. So this is also 37. And opposite angles of rhombus will be equal. Okay, so if this is 106, then this here will be 106. So part B, find GCB. So you can find GCB in one step. So we take, this is 180 straight line. 180 minus 106. So this is 74 degrees. Now lastly, for part C, EFB, which is this angle marked out. You see that this is actually a four-sided figure. It's a quadrilateral. Okay, quadrilateral. Then all angles in a quadrilateral add up to 360 degrees. So you technically can just take 360 minus 54, 106, and 37 to get angle EFB. So 360 minus 54 minus 106 and 37. And we will get 163 degrees. Okay, so that's the angle that we are finding. Okay, so part A is 37, B is 74, and C is 163 degrees. Question 10. Shops A and B sell files of 4 colors, blue, green, red, and yellow. So the bar graphs show the number of files sold, but the yellow files sold by shop A is not shown here. Okay, it's not drawn. So part A says that half of the files sold by shop A were yellow files. How many yellow files did shop A sell? So if half were yellow, means that the other half will be the total of blue, green, and red. Okay, blue, green, and red. So by finding the total of blue, green, and red, that's the same as yellow. So I just need to add them up. Blue will be 150, green 175, and red is 25. So yellow, which is the same as blue, green, and red, would be 150 plus 175 and 25. Okay, so answer for part A is 350. Then for part B, which color of files did A sell more than B? Okay, let's look at B. B is 125. And green 175, red 200, yellow is 75. Which one is more for A than B? Blue, yes. Green, no. Red, no. Yellow is 350, so yes. So it's blue and yellow. Okay, so for part B, there are two answers. Blue and yellow. For part C, in February, so this is in January. This diagram here shows in January. So for part C, in February, B sold 105 more blue files than the number of blue files sold in January. So what's the percentage increase in the number of blue files sold by B from January to February? So to find percentage increase, the formula would be increase over original times 100%. Okay, so the increase is 105 as stated. Then the original means the number in January. In January, the blue is 125. Okay, then times 100%. Key that into your calculator and you should get 84%. There's an increase of 84%. Question 11, photocopying rates of two machines P and Q are as shown. So for P it can photocopy 2 pages per second. For photocopier Q, it can photocopy 7 pages every 5 seconds. Okay, so both machines were used to make a copy of a set of notes, which had been divided into part 1 and part 2. So P took 7 minutes to photocopy part 1, and Q took 8 minutes to photocopy part 2. So how many pages were there altogether in the set of notes? Which means like your part 1 and your part 2 added up together. Okay, P only print, photocopy only part 1 of the notes. Let's find out how many pages is it. It took 7 minutes, so I need to change to seconds because this is per second. So let's convert 7 minutes into seconds. So you need to multiply it by 60, you get 420 seconds. Let's convert 8 minutes as well. 8 minutes, 8 times 60, 480 seconds. Okay. Now for part 1 of the notes, 420 seconds. How many pages would that be? $420. Every second is 2 pages, so I times 2. And I get 840 pages. So for part 2 of the notes, right, it's printed by Q. But we have to use grouping because it says every 5 seconds. So in 480 seconds, how many groups of 5 seconds are there? So I'll take 480 divide by 5, and I get 96 groups of 5 seconds, which means that I have 96 groups of 7 pages. So for part 2 of the notes, 96 groups of 7 pages would be 96 times 7, 672. So the total number of pages would be the sum of those 2 parts. So 840 and 672. Okay, so answer 1512 for part A. Now for part B, so another copy of the same set of notes, which is like made up of part 1 and part 2, right, is only photocopied using machine Q. So how long does it take? So as we know, the total number of pages is 1512. If you want to use machine Q, right, you have to find the number of groups first. Okay, so number of groups. So since we're using pages, 1512 pages, to find the number of groups, I need to divide by the number of pages. Okay, so 1512 pages divide by 7 pages. And I get 216 groups. 216 groups of 5 seconds. 216 groups of 5 seconds. Oops. That will give us 1080 seconds, since they're asking for minutes. So you divide by 60 to get minutes, and you get 18 minutes. Okay, so remember to convert to minutes. So that's the time taken. Question 12. Figure is made up of 2 identical circles with centers A and C. ABCD is a square and the length of AB is 15 cm. So since A is the center of the circle, AB represents the radius. Okay, so we got the radius, which is 15 cm. Part A, find the perimeter of the unshaded part. Now the unshaded part is made up of the 2 times arc of a quadrant. Okay, so let's find out what is one arc of a quadrant first. So to find the length of the arc, right, we are using the formula that gives us the circumference of the circle, which is pi times diameter. So I need to know what's my diameter. Okay, since the radius is 15, diameter will be 15 times 2. Then to find the arc of one quadrant, or one quadrant arc, I will have to use 1/4 times the pi. Pi is 3.14, then times diameter. Okay, then you get 23.55. So 23.55 is here. This one. So to find the perimeter of the unshaded, that's 2 times of that. So you just times 2. 47.1 cm. And for part B, we want to find the total area of the shaded parts. Okay, let's name this so that it's easier to see. Let's name this X. Let's name this Y. Okay, let's find X first. X is like a boomerang. Okay, a boomerang, which is square minus quadrant to find X. Okay, square minus quadrant. So the square would be 15 times 15. Sorry, 225. 15 times 15 because AB is 15. So the square is 15 times 15. Then a quadrant is a quarter times pi, which is 3.14, times radius times radius. 176.625. So the boomerang which is what we labeled as X, is square minus quadrant. So 225 minus 176.625. 48.375. Okay. Now I'll find Y and I'll add it to X. Y is 3/4 of a full circle. So to find Y, I use 3/4 times pi times radius times radius. Alternatively, you can take your quadrant times 3. Okay, you get the same answer, which is 529.875. So half of shaded okay, half of the shaded will be your X and Y together. When you add them up, you should get 578.25. Okay, so the shaded will be twice of that. because X and Y is half of the shaded part. Then to find the complete shaded part, you need times 2. One 1156.5. So that's the answer, 1156.5. Write your units, square cm. Okay, question 13. Mr. Lim had blue pens and red pens for sale. He sold 270 blue pens. 75% of the pens sold were red. Okay, so how many blue pens and red pens did Mr. Lim sell altogether? So we already know the number of blue pens that he sold, right? Which is 270. Now, 25%, let's write it as a ratio. If they say that 25% of the pens sold were red, means that 75% of the pens sold were blue. So red that is sold to the number of blue pens that were sold would be 25 to 75, 1 to 3. The 270 would be the 3 units. So we take 270 divide by 3, which is 90. Okay, and this is the rate that's sold. Question is asking how many red and blue did he sell altogether. So we times 4, because the total is 4 units. And that's the number of red and blue sold. Okay, for part B, take note that there are 2 percentages given. First one, he sold 40% of his pens. And then the next percentage, 30% of the pens left unsold were blue. How many red pens did Mr. Lim have at first? Okay, so I will form 2 different ratios and find common base to link them. This is just one of the ways that you can use. If you are comfortable with using percentages and you will not get confused over the 40 and 30%, then go ahead. But I don't recommend that because a lot of students make the careless mistake of taking 100 minus 40, you're left with 60, and then 60 minus 30. You can't do that, okay? Because 40 is of the total, 30 is the percentage out of the remaining. They are of different totals. So you cannot treat the two percentages as the same. Okay, so the safer way will be use ratio. Okay, so 40%, he sold 40% of his pens, means that if you compare sold and unsold, sold will be 40, unsold will be 60. This is 2 and 3. Okay, this is our ratio here. Then next, for the 30%, we're talking about the pens that were unsold. So 30% of those unsold were blue. Okay, let's write red unsold, blue unsold. If 30% of those left unsold were blue, means that 70% would be the red unsold. So when we simplify, you get 7 to 3. Now you look across these two ratios, right? There should be a common base. And the common base will be the total that is unsold. The total unsold in this second ratio would be the sum of your red and blue unsold, okay, which is 10. So since that's my common base, I need to make it the same. So like 3 and 10, change it to common multiple of 30. So this is times 3. Okay, so once I have this, I will use what I have found earlier, which is my 360. This is the total that he sold, which is this one. Okay, so 360 is your 20 units. So don't use the 1 unit back in the first part, because the ratio in part A and part B, you didn't make the common base the same. So don't use the 1 unit in the first part, in part A. Just use 360, trying to link it to your new ratio. 360 is the total sold, so 360 is 20 units. So 360 divided by 20 is 18. We are looking for the number of red pens he have at first. So let's look for red unsold, which is 21 units. So 21. Okay, let's label this red unsold. 18 times 21. 378. Now add it to the rate that's sold and you get your total. Okay, so 378 plus 90. Uh, 468. Okay, so that is the total number of rate for part A. 360, 468. All right, question 14. Andy saved a total of $108 in coins in his coin box. 2/3 of all the coins saved were $1 coins. There were 3 times as many $1 coins as 50-cent coins, remaining 20-cent coins. How many coins did he save in his coin box altogether? Okay, so from this question, there are 3 different types of coins. And when we talk about the fraction 2/3 and then 3 times, all these are talking about number of coins. Okay, so let's find out the ratio between the 3 coins in terms of the quantity, the number of coins. Okay, the 2/3 is referring to the number of $1 coins, which means that the $1 coin is 2 units. 3 units refer to the total coins. So 2 to 3. Next, there were 3 times as many $1 coins as 50-cent coins. So you have 3 to 1. Common base is $1 coins, so I make it the same. Change it common multiple of 6. So from here, I want to find what is the ratio of each of the coins, but I'm missing 20-cent coins. How many units would 20-cent coins be? So what you can do is to take the total, 9 units, and minus off the other 2, which gives us 1 unit. Okay, so you have $1, 50-cent coins, and your 20-cent coins. Okay, I'm going to do this, which is what we call the quantity value table. So I have quantity, value, and total value. Now this is a grouping type of question. So in one group, I have 6 $1 coins and 2 50-cent coins and 1 20-cent coin, all from the ratio above. Value means the value of each coin. So for $1 will be 1. For 50 cents will be 0.5. For 20 cents is 0.2. So if I have 6 $1 coin, 6 $1 coins, then my total value will be 6 times 1, 2 times 0.5, and 1 times 0.2. This whole thing is my one group. So since the question gave us the total value for everything, which is $108, I will find my total value in one group. Okay, which is 6 plus 1 plus 0.2, which gives us 7.2. Now to find the number of groups, since this is a grouping question, I will take $108 divided by 720, 7.2. So this will give us 15 groups. Now back to the question. The question is asking for a number of coins altogether. So in one group, number of coins is the quantity. So I'll add them up. So 6 plus 2 plus 1, which is 9 coins in a group. Then I'll take 15 groups of 9. So 15 times 9. Answer 135 coins. Question 15. Cassie hung some identical rings vertically as shown. Thickness of each ring was 1 cm. So for part A, what's the distance from the top of the first ring to the bottom of the fourth ring? Okay, so first ring to fourth ring is as shown in the second diagram. So what we're going to do here, okay, this diagram may seem complicated, but if you break it down into parts, it's actually not that complicated, okay? So firstly, you have this 1 cm there. There is a 1 cm, then there's 2 of that, 2 of that, and then 2, and then 2 of that, okay? Okay, so let's mark that out first, huh? This is 1. Then this is 2. And this is also 2. And this is 2. And lastly, you have another 2. Now, in between this is 7, because 9 minus 1 minus 1. But in between this is not 7, because there's like this 1 cm in the way of the 7, right? So this is actually 6. But the next one is not 6, because you have like a 7 and then there's a 1 within the 7 and there's another 1 within the 7. So actually that's a 5. Okay, then you have another 5, another 5. So if I were to group them together, right, we have this 2 and 5 together. And this 2 and this 5 together. 2 and 5 together. And then your very first interval, it's not 2 and 5, but 2, 6, and 1. Okay? Or 2 and 7, 2 and 7. So part A, we are just adding up all the numbers. So starting from the first one, we have 7 plus 2, which is the first part here. 7 plus 2. Then we have 5, 2, 5, 2, 5, 2. So 3 times of 5 plus 2. Okay, that will give us 30. So that's the answer for part A, 30 cm. Yeah, so I repeat again, 7 and 2, because 7 is the first part, 1 and 6. So 7 plus 2 plus 5 and 2, but 3 times of that. That's why I times 3. Now for part B, distance from the first ring to the last ring was 198 cm. So how many rings are there? So if you notice, right, other than the first ring, every subsequent ring will be 5 plus 2. Okay, so I will take away the first set first. So 198 minus 7 minus 2 is 189. So 189 is made up of how many times of the 5 and 2? So each subsequent ring is actually 5 plus 2. So the number of rings would be 189 divided by 7, which will give us 27. Now remember to add back the first ring, which is not a 5 plus 2, but 7 plus 2, which we took away. Okay, so the total number of rings would be 27 plus 1. Add back the first ring. So answer 28 rings. Okay, next question. Question 16. This is a rectangular piece of paper. In this figure, 6 triangles are cut out. So the area of this remaining paper is 279. What is the area of a triangle each triangle that was cut out? Okay, first, find the area of the first rectangle in figure 1, which is basically length times breadth. 375. Now, if I take away the area of figure 2, I'm left with 6 triangles. Okay, so 375 minus 279 as given in the question. Then to find one triangle, I will take 96 divided by 6, which is 16. Okay, so that's all for one triangle, area of one triangle, 16 square cm. Okay, for part B, perimeter of this figure 2 is 54 cm longer than the perimeter of figure 1. So what's the perimeter of each triangle? Now, if you compare the two diagrams, right, the common parts will be the length. So I'll ignore the length. The length will not contribute any difference. Where is it that will contribute the difference? So figure 1 it has the breadth, right? So let's focus on one triangle. One triangle, this part here. It will be 15 divided by 3, 5. Okay, 5. So it's because of all these 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, and all these zigzag parts, right? The difference will give us the difference of 54. But if I were to split them into 6 triangles, let's just focus on one triangle. These two longer sides will be how much more than this shortest side? So 54 is the difference for the 6 triangles. To find the difference for just one triangle, I will take 54 divided by 6. Okay, what this means is that this part here in green is actually 9 cm more than the yellow part. Okay, so if I take 5 plus 9, I get 14. And 14 is actually the length of the lines in green. So the perimeter of one triangle is actually 14 plus 5. Okay, I don't really need to find what's one side of each of the longer sides. I don't need to know what's each of them. But the green is 14, I just take 14 plus 5. Okay, so that's the perimeter of each triangle. Okay, last question, 17. Mrs. Wu spent 1/6 of her money on a dress and 2 blouses. The dress cost 3 times as much as each blouse. Mrs. Wu spent 3/4 of her remaining money on a watch. she spent $220.50 more on the watch than on the dress. So what fraction of her money was spent on each blouse? Okay, let's draw a model first. 1/6. So 6 units. This is for one dress and 2 blouses. Okay, then the cost of each dress. So one dress to one blouse. One dress is 3 times, so 3 to 1. Okay, so one dress is like 3 units. One blouse would be 1 unit. Then they said that she spent 3/4 of her remaining. That's why I'm redrawing the remaining part on one watch. Okay, so what fraction was spent on the blouse? Now let's look at 1D plus 2V. Like how many units would that be? One dress is 3 units. 2 blouses would be 2 times 1 unit. Okay, so here we have 3 plus 2 units, 5 units. So this would be 5 units, which means that every box in the first model would be 5 units. The total number of units, which represents all her money, would be 5 units times 6, 30 units. So since we're just looking at one blouse, right? One blouse is 1 unit. So answer for part A is 1 out of 30. Okay, then for part B, how much did she have at first? Okay, this 220.5, we're comparing one watch and one dress. So let's look for the watch. Okay, let's find the remainder first. Remainder would be 5 units times 5, which is 25 units. Now the remainder have to be split into four parts, right? So you divide by 4, get 6.25 units. So this is 6.25 units. Since one watch is like 3 units, 3 parts. So to find one watch, I'll take 6.25 units times 3. 18.75 units. Okay, that's one watch. So you compare the watch and a dress. Dress is 3 units. So the difference would be 18.75 units minus 3 units. Get 15.75 units. Okay, and that would be $220.5. So we use that to help us find our 1 unit. Okay, by taking 220.5 divide by 15.75 and you'll get 14. So 1 unit is $14. Remember, okay, how much did she have at first? Remember the total is 30 units. So you just multiply that by 30. So answer $420. So as you're doing this question, take note which one is dollars, which one is units, okay? Make sure you label in your steps clearly. Okay, so this is the last question for this Tao Nan practice paper 3 for 2024. And this is the paper 2 part of the paper. Okay, so that's all.